Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Now we're going to continue with the statement of the Leader of the Council. And just to make things clear, any questions that will be asked by the Council, I'll put all those together and then we'll address the Cabinet member or the Leader, and then that item will be finished. So we're now moving on to item 12. Do we have any questions? Victoria Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman. Afternoon. I was reading this in the papers today. I used to cover this role as part of many different responsibilities I had as the Cabinet member for Communities and Culture. Just wondering what else the councillor does within his portfolio, and what budget line are you actually putting onto this? Because as far as I remember, the districts and the boroughs kind of took responsibility for a lot of this work, so I'm just interested in understanding the remit of the actual cabinet role and the things that go within that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. It's really a question for the Cabinet member with regard to community safety. I'd be very happy to work with him. I've got many years' experience working with 2 crime commissioners and the crime commissioners panel, so I'm going to leave that with you as a thought, okay? But I would very much like to link up with you. Thank you. Yep.
Carry on.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, and thank you for that. Yeah, it's a brand new role, as you know. There's a lot going on, and it's still being developed to do with community safety, domestic abuse, Staffordshire Safer Roads partnerships. There's lots and lots, trading standards. So I would certainly welcome your input, definitely, and anybody who wants to help out, come down. I'm here basically 5 days a week, yeah? So come down, join me. This is quite new to me, this is. I'm not used to this type of confrontation that we recognised earlier on. Yeah, I'll get my head around it, and I will join in. Trust me. Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you. Item 13. Do we have any questions?
Thank you. I don't believe I received an answer to my prior question, but perhaps we could talk outside of the meeting would be great. Again, trading standards. Wow, what a fantastic department we have within our council. And again, this is nothing new what you're mentioning here in the report today. This work's been going on for years, since certainly I've been here at this council since 2017. So I'm really glad to see that you're still championing this work. And I know earlier, and I know I'm not allowed to refer to anything that happened before 2 minutes ago, but, you know, promotion of all of the good work that we do at this county council. I know our press team has been pushing that message for a long, long time. Our trading standards team here is second to none. We do need to congratulate them for that, and I'm glad that it's been highlighted here. Again, nothing new to see, just business as usual. Thank you.
Councillor Kelly.
Sorry, hello. As a parent of a young child, the matter of hazardous and counterfeit toys is something of great concern to myself and many other parents. The amount of counterfeit and hazardous labubus that we'll find, if you don't know what a labubu is, come and talk to me afterwards, I will let you know and show you a photo. I found really shocking about how dangerous they were. So do you believe that the increased effort is having a lasting impact? And the large-scale awareness of the hazards is helping to be a deterrent, not just to those selling these counterfeit toys, but those buying them too.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Just responding on a couple of things. The reason why we have this portfolio is the Conservatives' office in the previous administration treated this particular element as just a committee stage. We thought that crime was an important bit. It didn't have its own portfolio at all. This is what the electorate told us back in May, that we would give it a higher profile and prominence. We created a cabinet portfolio to deal with crime, community safety and resilience. Tony is our portfolio holder for that. I think he's doing an excellent job. I didn't realise that the Conservatives had invented trading standards, but there are certain things that we needed to do, improve on, look at, change, intervention, getting to the real heart of actually, you know, the communities that we live in. And we are responding to what the electorate wanted, probably why they voted for us and rather the Conservative Party.
Councillor Screen, did you have anything to add? Or?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you. Yeah, trading standards is a great department, I don't doubt that, and it's been going for a long time, yeah, and we'll continue to do so, yeah. But the fact is, we're looking at a more of a zero-tolerance approach. We don't want criminals on our streets. These are our streets, and so regards economic crime, yeah, so we're looking at reviewing, yeah, and working with trading standards to focus more and trying to get rid of the criminal, something which has been allowed to fester and grow within the towns and communities. And Charlotte, yeah, fake toys and counterfeit toys continue to flood our streets, putting children at risk and undermining honest local businesses. And trading standards must be empowered to act decisively. Protecting our communities starts with removing those who profit from crime. So, yeah, we will continue. And again, anybody who wants to help and give a bit, because it's all about the community. It's not about us. It's about helping the community to get better, yeah, and look after them. And it's their safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not sure whether the leader intended to, but just so that we're all clear, the responsibilities regarding community safety and trading standards that fall within the new portfolio were things that were being done at this county council under the community's portfolio. So they've always been discharged, and I wouldn't want anybody to be under the impression that they weren't. We're interested to learn more about this new portfolio and how it fits with the responsibilities of the Police and Crime Commissioner in districts and boroughs. But just wanted to be crystal clear, this has always been covered by this council.
Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, no, we created a portfolio that wasn't there before, specifically to deal with those items. You may have had them within your portfolio with a range of other things, but we've actually given them a higher prominence, a higher profile. We've responded to what the electorate asked us to do, and I'm more than happy to support that.
Moving on to item 14. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to highlight this point 14, which was Library Leads Summer Reading Challenge Success. And this actually goes against Councillor Coles' answer to my question later on. So it's really important I get this opportunity to say it's been a fantastic challenge that Staffordshire libraries have risen to, and it's a reading challenge for those, and it's one of the evolving successes of the roles of our libraries. So I think it's really important to say that our libraries have been really, really good, and we'd like to work in future to work with the libraries and reform the opposition. Thank you very much.
No, we're just on 14. We've done 13, we're on 14 now. We're on 14. We're on 14. Just to point it. Yep. Okay. Thank you, please. Thank you. We have done 12. We have done 13. We are moving on to 14. But if Councillor Hales would like to make a comment.
And because we were debating the fact that one of the member safety items had been missed, so if you could just repeat the last bit.
Stand up, please, Hayley. Oh, you want to hear the question again?
Sorry. I didn't hear all the question to respond.
Do you want to repeat the question?
I'm going to start giggling. Yeah, right, let's get it together, hey? So there's been a summer reading challenge for our libraries. It's been extremely successful, and it shows the great success of our libraries in Staffordshire and in our community. And it mentions the evolving success of our libraries. And this is fantastic, because this is part of the work that the previous Conservative administration had been doing. And I want to work with the Cabinet lead moving forward on this item, because we need to secure the success of the libraries, but actually the success of these libraries and the information given here goes against the negativity of one of the answers coming up. So just to say, successful libraries, great for the community, not just for library books. And what I'm saying is I want to work with you, Councillor Coles, and I hope we do so in future. Thank you very much for listening again.
Councillor Coles?
Thank you, Councillor Brown. It's actually a different question to what I answered. You asked me specifically about Burton Library and the community managed libraries. So this is about the reading challenge. Well, I've had two questions put in there. So this is just about the reading challenge. It's a campaign.
What I'm saying is the article on point 14 was giving the success or explaining the success of the libraries. So that's the point. So I'm actually highlighting how successful the libraries have been and as community hubs and moving forward. And this is a success point, a successful congratulatory point, whereas some of the information later on is very negative, and therefore I don't think they balance out correctly. And it was an offer and a question to you saying, I'd like to work with you in future to make our libraries and our community hubs even better.
Councillor Coles?
I was referring to the other questions that you're referring to in the negative feedback. So yeah, the reading challenge has been very successful. We've made sure we've promoted it a lot more this year so that we get the numbers up. But yeah, I'm happy to work with you.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper, did you want to say anything, or you?
No, I went on that one, thank you.
Moving on to item 15. Do we have any speakers? Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair. Good news. This is really good news. It's great that Staffordshire is thriving and people are coming here in their droves more and more. Tourism is a really important part of what we do. We don't just deal with local potholes and issues in our neighbourhood. We've also got to encourage people to come and visit our places here in Staffordshire. I'm really lucky to represent Lichfield Rural South. We've got Manor Farm Fruits in Hints. We've got Lichfield Maze and the Roman site at Wall, Buzzards Valley near Camwell, and of course Drayton Manor Resort. These are all places that we should be encouraging all of our constituents and residents to go and visit. And I'd like to encourage Councillor Murray, or maybe even Councillor Cooper, who lives very close by, to visit the Lumberjacks Axe Throwing in Fazeley. I'm sure we'd have lots of fun there. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Murray?
It's not just inward tourism, it's outward tourism. It's those that come to actually visit Staffordshire from far and wide. And we lack on that. And we do. And those that do visit, when you do the surveys, they do not even realise some of our biggest assets are even in Staffordshire. We've got the data on that. We're working on that. And that is something we must work all together on, because that is what advertises Staffordshire at the global level. You only have to look at the great cities like Liverpool, the Manchesters of the world, and see how they're, in just 10 years, their whole economy, not just the nighttime, the daytime, has increased because of tourism and nighttime economy and hospitality. It has improved it. Ireland, another prime example, where their economy has actually increased an extra 20% uplift because of nighttime economy work that they have done. It's far more important just thinking about Lichfield. Lichfield is a model that everyone should copy. The cafe culture that has been built over many years in Lichfield is shown its benefit by you cannot buy a ghetto shop in Lichfield High Street. It's that popular. It brings more than just the hospitality. It brings people out that are there every single day that live there. But it also brings tourism far and wide. It brings the American, it brings the Chinese, it brings the Europeans to our areas. But the one thing we have lacked is let them know it's Staffordshire to get them to come further. And this will come back to overnight accommodation. We need more hotels, not just for hospitality, but business tourism as well. The business tourism is a huge marketplace we must be looking at. Brings value to every single part of this county, brings value to every single economy in our county. It's a vital point that we must work on and we shout out and build together.
I did say that we'd finish the item once the Cabinet member has spoken, but I will let it go this time. So, Councillor White.
A little bit slow on the button, wasn't I? So thank you. Thank you for your forbearance. So we talked about this earlier, didn't we? So I won't repeat anything that we said then. But I think the purpose of the item is it tells a bit of a story, doesn't it, about where we've come since the pandemic. And I got elected into my role as deputy leader under the Conservatives during the pandemic. And as part of that, I inherited taking over the chairmanship of our local tourist board, which was flat on its back at the time in the middle of COVID. And we had some long, hard conversations at that time with our visitor attractions and others saying, look, you know, where do we want to go with this? Do we really want to put our shoulders to the wheel? I'm pleased to say that as a sector, despite the challenges that the businesses were facing with their cash flow, their turnover, they did so. We united as a sector in Staffordshire to put our best foot forward. Crucially, we won a local visitor economy partnership, so Visit England's quality seal for a nationally significant tourism sector as part of that, which means that we get national promotion now for Staffordshire. And my goodness, there are some wonderful assets in Staffordshire. I won't attempt to list all of them now. Councillor Farrell's done an able job of mentioning the ones in his division. Many of us could do the same. But this is a huge asset for Staffordshire. It's one of our biggest sectors. There's a lot of good work that's been done. I have no doubt, Councillor Murray, that you will want to continue that. And it's another one of these crossover areas where we can happily work together to promote our wonderful county and the wonderful attractions that are here. So it's great to see this celebrated here. Let's hope in another 5 years' time we can see that step up by another 30%. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Thank you. Councillor Bentley.
I'd like to say thank you very much for all of us to working together on this tourism. And there's some small gains we can all make. I mean, support the local things in your area. Just promote them. You know, help on planning permission. I know it's not county council, but they're struggling, the tourism departments are, to get past these little hurdles. And the other one we've thought about, and see what the thought of in the room was, on Staffordshire Day next year, which is the 10-year anniversary, it falls on a Friday, it's a bank holiday weekend, should we try to promote free parking in Staffordshire and work with all the boroughs, all the towns, all the districts, and say to everybody, let's pull together for this weekend and have welcome to Staffordshire. Is that just a thought? Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I think it's great, a wonderful aspect that we all support the county of Staffordshire, all its great amenities, hotel, conferencing, lunches, brilliant. We should all support Staffordshire, and we should be judged by our actions. And I'd like to congratulate the Conservative Party for Lichfield for having their annual dinner in Warwickshire.
Moving on to item 16, sorry. Do we have any speakers? Yep. Councillor Brown.
Yes, thank you. I'm standing up as Communities and Culture Shadow. That's why it's me again. But am I allowed to just follow Councillors Hall free parking? I completely agree. Oh, sorry, beg your pardon. I completely agree. I'd looked into this, for example, in Uttoxeter, which is on the edge of my patch. East Staffordshire Borough Council charged for car parking. And can you believe the East Staffordshire Borough Council gets £600,000 a year for parking on that car park? which I think is a travesty that people aren't parking there. And I completely hear you, and I think it'd be fantastic to look at that again. But obviously, it's a huge revenue to East Staffordshire Borough Council that they'll lose. But yeah, great idea. And pardon? I know, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Especially Christmas time, perhaps. But anyway, if I'm allowed to move on to item 16, Staffordshire History Centre has gained accredited museum status. That's a fantastic initiative. And obviously, this is well earned from the previous administration, who put a lot of time and effort, and I believe Councillor Wilson also, and is a vital role in preserving Staffordshire's rich heritage. And of course, you can read the rest of it. This is great news, and also part of Councillor Murray's Visit Staffordshire, that we've got this fantastic resource. Again, I just wondered from Councillor Hales, do you feel this is money worth spent?
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. I would just like to congratulate the whole team that's been responsible for the amazing history centre that we have here in our county town. And I think as well, talking about tourism, this is just such a win for us. And it is completed just absolutely beautifully. And anybody who hasn't been yet, please do go. It's free. And it's rich with all the history of this fantastic county, the heart of the country, as has been said over this other side of the room. The accreditation is really great news. To my knowledge, before last May, it had already been accredited, because that's what I was told. So I'm sorry to say, although it's great news, it's not new news. There's not anything really much to see here. It's business as usual. We've been getting on with it. And another fantastic decision and project organised by the previous administration. Chairman, at this moment, if I can just say that this agenda, to me, is full of things that have already been done. Nothing new is here. I want to see what was on your leaflets. I want to see where you're going to find the savings that you've promised us, all the waste that you told us that we've got.
Okay, thank you,
This
Victoria.
stuff we've already done.
Please.
Nothing
Thank
to
you. Thank you. Councillor Edgeler.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm a trustee, and I don't know whether I should declare an interest on this, actually, of the Staffordshire History Development Trust. And on Monday night, I spent an evening at the History Centre absolutely looking at the new development and all the history and that. This is absolutely wonderful. But the reason I'm raising it, we met all these people and really we're asking them for a little bit of cash, because we're asking people to sponsor a shelf in this history centre. Wouldn't it be good if every councillor in this chamber sponsored a shelf in Staffordshire, not Stafford, but Staffordshire History Centre? It costs £25 to sponsor a shelf. So can I ask you all, would you please sponsor a shelf in Staffordshire History Centre? And it's such a beautiful building, and I've got all the details there, so I'll ask Chantal or somebody to put it out. And if you can, support a shelf, that would be brilliant. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Coles, did you want to say anything?
Thank you for your comments. I completely agree. It's been an amazing achievement to get to that status, and I would not take that away. I will say there are cheerless comments coming out now, because you know that in council you report back on what's been delivered, and that's what we're doing. Would you rather we just didn't report that in this moment and ignored it all, ignored all the work that the officers have worked on to get us to this stage? So I think it's rather churlish that you're actually referring to it in that way. I am looking at the archives and the history centre, and there's a lot more we can do. And if we did sponsor a shelf, it's taxpayers' money going back into some, it's taxpayers' money. Wouldn't it make more sense to get investment from businesses into that area?
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, history centre, love them. Great history, fantastic. We've got loads of it in Staffordshire. However, not many people really go there. If you read the report, highlights include 10,000 visits. What's the population of Staffordshire? 1.3 million if you include Stoke-on-Trent and the wider West Midlands. Not very good at promoting it, really, are you? I think the best thing to do is actually make sure that the assets that we have, the history, the culture. I'd love to have the Staffordshire Hoard back in Staffordshire, quite frankly, rather than sitting in Birmingham. What efforts were made to do that? I have no idea. However, we need to up the game, up the number of people that come to this county, and more importantly, the number of, or the hours and the time spent within the county, the number of days. I think currently people stay on average 1 day. We need to get that 3, 4, 5 days when people come to this county, spend more money and improve the economy for everybody.
Yes. Thank you. Finally, moving on to item 6 and notices of motion. Councillor Pert.
Thank you, Chairman. So this afternoon, in the spirit of mutual respect, I thought I would volunteer a suggestion. As I bring a fair few years of experience and senior leadership in a variety of different roles. And whilst it'd be very easy just to reject good ideas because they don't come from the administration, I thought I would see how mature the council was and to see whether they could take good ideas from wherever they came from. I don't intend, you'll be pleased to know, to read ad verbatim the motion. It is, after all, fairly self-explanatory. As is the situation in the council, which I think we all know, and we're not unique as a council, in finding that rising demand, rising costs for delivering services and below inflation increases in money coming from central government. That is not unique. This makes significant demands on the services that the council deliver, however. And because the council is a fluid organisation, it isn't static at any one time, then clearly managing the books and running a financially and fiscally prudent organisation, which is what has been done over the last 16 years by the previous administration, clearly this is going to need to change some of the numbers and some of the balance. Now, if you think about people, some people love numbers and can really understand what numbers are. And other people like to see percentages because that tells other people a different story, or the same story but in a different way. It's a bit like some people like looking at pictures and other people want to see the words. You know, we're all different, we all have different abilities to be able to understand what the story is trying to tell us. Now, some people can see the context, whereas others need that helping hand to better understand the wider materiality of numbers. So in an age where everything is managed by sound bites and social media, trust in politicians, including ourselves, has been slowly eroded. Maybe it's been quickly eroded. So we really need to rebuild that trust. And when talking about finances and savings and money, if we use the percentage impact alongside the overall financial impact in pounds and pence, we can allow others to better understand in a clear and transparent way the wider impact of each pound we spend more or conversely save. Therefore, I hope this council will support the motion to always include the percentage impact to the overall council's budget when making changes to that agreed budget as part of the MTFS process, and to ensure that the same information will be included in public communications, in all public communications relating to any changes with a budget impact. This will ensure transparency and clarity, but it also allows for a better set of decision-making, greater transparency and credibility, and it also facilitates prioritisation. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, this motion is talking about using percentages as well as the individual pounds, shillings and pence impact so that it can provide a comprehensive view that enhances understanding for all of our residents and helps with our decision making. So, Mr. Chairman, if this is what the Council is minded to lay down and do today, I'm sure the officers could find an easy way of making this work as part of the financial concurrence, for example, of any reports, and for comms to include this at no extra cost to this council, giving greater transparency and engagement at no cost, a true win-win for all involved. I recommend this wholeheartedly to the council and colleagues.
And do we have a seconder?
Speak. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor, any questions? I have Ian Cooper.
I always listen to the Tories going on. It's always like getting lectured by them. If it's such a brilliant idea, why did they do it now? We could have had 14 years to do this. 14 years, and suddenly it's a good idea. It makes me suspicious, quite frankly. Why? I don't think it'll add anything, quite frankly, to the running of the council and how we operate. We have a very capable team of people to run the finances, both officers and elected members. I think we'll keep the system as it is currently. I think that's my proposal to that.
Councillor White.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman, and thank you, Councillor Pert. I thought that was a really well balanced presentation of the case. I think it's probably right that I offer an apology. Actually, I think this is a good example of the difference between your perspective when you're sat over there in office and your perspective when you're sat outside of that. And this is something that we should have done years ago, and I wish we had done. It is very easy to forget when you're in Cabinet and you're constantly in the briefings and you're constantly with your head in the finances, how people out there, and you mentioned it today once or twice, Councillor Cooper, saying about small amounts of money, in your opinion, that we're talking about with things. And you're saying that because we're talking about what, in the context of our £800 million budget, are small amounts of money. Okay, general member of the public doesn't understand that. This aids transparency in terms of what amount of the council's budget we're actually spending, the context. And I'm not sure why anybody would oppose that. If you're opposing on the basis that we should have done it years ago, I will freely admit you're right, we should have done. It doesn't mean it isn't a good idea. And I look to all of you here, because you've all got to vote on this, you've all got a decision. Do you want transparency for your electors? Do you want them to understand the finances of this place properly, how we are spending their money? Because this is a simple thing that costs us nothing, but helps people to understand the context of these things. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't do it now. Yes, we should have done it years ago. Freely admit that. Let's put that right today.
Councillor Large.
Thank you, Chair. We're in the process of working with the officers in finance to simplify and make it clearer the process that we use for the wider audience. Our plan going forward with the performance measures will also change going for 2026 because there's far too many of them. They're too complicated. Some of the language is wrong. I don't think it's about transparency. We need more transparency. We need more clarity about what we're doing. That's all it is. But we're working on that with the officers concerned, and that will be going forward, and you'll see that in our new approach in 2026. Thank you.
Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you, Councillor Pert, for bringing this forward. And remiss of me not to welcome you back to this chamber where you clearly belong. Thank you so much. I think this is a gift to reform. We are offering you the chance here to show to all of your electorate that voted you in because of your claims of waste and Doge. You can now show them how much money you're saving them in the budget moving forward in a form of percentage. So I don't see why this is something that anybody in this room should vote against. As Councillor White said, it's all about transparency. We're showing to the electorate, and it is complicated. This council spends a lot of money on lots of different things. So we're just showing them, are we going up or going down on the budget sheet? I think it's a gift, and I don't know why you wouldn't vote for it.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Beware Greeks bearing gifts, if I remember my classics properly, quite frankly. No, I think it's been well said by my colleague here. We're already going through the processes anyway. I don't believe the story that, oh, it's 14 years later, it was a good idea. I mean, it took you 14 years to think of a good idea. Tells you something, really, doesn't it? No, the answer is, well, we're going to reject this, hopefully, through members. And we think that the system we're currently operating is fine. I think we'll take any advice and comments from my colleagues and from the officers. And whatever we decide in the future will be a reform decision. As I said before, you've lost your toys, you've had your train set taken off it. The electorate say that we should control this council.
Councillor Pert, would you like to respond?
Chairman, thank you. I spent a long time this year, so it feels, wearing out 3 or 4 sets of shoes. I guess you'll know what I was doing. So I actually do talk to a lot of people, and there were in excess of 1,000 people I spoke to just literally between June and July. And I don't think, contrary to popular opinion, that people understand. I don't even think our districts understand. And I'm on a district council myself. But I don't think people understand the size and scale of this organisation. And actually, you know, we've heard today a number of times criticism that we're worried about things that aren't material. Well, yeah, that may be true. But one of the ways of showing what is material is by putting a percentage there. Because it's very easy for us to talk about, you know, we've saved £2.50, and yet we've spent more time in committee debating it something. And we're talking about a £1 billion organisation here, and I think having a percentage really makes things clear and transparent and ensures that things aren't just glossed over in conversation. I think this is really a good demonstration of whether this administration is able to take support and advice for the betterment of all of our residents in Staffordshire. And that is my disappointment with the conversation to date, that there has been no recognition that this might actually be a good idea, no discussion with the financial officers from what I can see as to whether this would benefit the running of the council and benefit the understanding of our residents. I would urge you to vote in support of the motion, obviously.
Thank you. I'll now put the motion to the vote. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. I think that's no. Can I call Councillor Miners?
Thank you very much, Chair. I would also like to just discuss what happened in this room a few weeks ago when I was working with the Staffordshire Sustainability Board. It brought members from the whole of Staffordshire into one chamber, districts and councils. And we discussed the values and what's been happening with the Staffordshire Sustainability Board. And there was some good outcomes on that meeting. There were some positive people talking about recycling. What are they doing? However, for 15 minutes over, we did get stumbling about what to do, option 1, option 2. And again, it was the word, just words, net zero. It came up again and again and again in everybody's comments. So some of the things that they were doing good over the last few years is Tech Cycle, collecting 16,000 unwanted items. The Medicycle, recycled items, raising over £130,000. Paint recycling, saving 600,000 litres of paint. This was really quite a good news item, I would say. Yeah, and so there are a few things that have been going on well over the last few years since you put in motion here the climate crisis in 2019. But as we've been digging deep across many things, there are some things which we thought perhaps needed deeper investigation. It didn't bring value to the people of Staffordshire. We don't know really what was the value of the carbon literacy training, the Climate Change Action Fund. Many people I've spoken to over the last few months still don't know how much CO2 is in the atmosphere, even though we've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds having a great big orange balloon in 2023 to travel across Staffordshire and try and educate people. When we've spoken to people in the county this year, where are you going on holiday? I'm flying here, flying there. It seems to be the same. So there are many things which have been doing well over the last few years, and we want to expand on those, especially if it helps the environment. The beautiful county of Staffordshire. It is really beautiful there when you go forward. So, however, when we come to move here today for the motion, we're going to say that we want to rescind the climate emergency declaration made in 2019, okay, as it's been happening in London as well this week. So I'm not going to read off all of what's been done there. It's available publicly, and I would pass over to the team and chairman to vote the motion through.
And do we have a seconder?
I'll second that motion.
The Tag, I believe you have an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to propose an amendment to the motion before us regarding the climate change declaration made in 2019. I think the officers are distributing. Would you like me to wait till they're distributed, Chairman, or plough on?
Yes, if you could do, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
You should have just carried on.
Feel like a good Aldermen. But we get our say, don't we? Which is good. Because I got the light on before. Learned last time. Shut up. It's on your phone.
Okay, Councillor Tagg, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to the officers for distributing this. I will begin by acknowledging the intent behind the motion that's just been moved by the portfolio holder that I'm looking to amend today. And it's a desire and demonstration and a refocus of the environmental efforts in line with what national reform policies view. We all know about that, and it's quite right that they're putting that forward in this way. It's of course been echoed in recent days by the leader of the Conservative Party, but I'm not going to say we're all on the same side on this agenda, but we can see there is a hardening up. And I think it's because of, I like to call him Mad Ed Miliband, who's sort of really taken a really hard line on this agenda. There's actually causing a lot of problems for residents of this country, and actually giving the sustainability and the environmental things we try to do for our areas a bad name. But I believe we must proceed with care and clarity. Simply rescinding the climate change emergency declaration sends the wrong signal, not just to our residents, but to our partners and businesses, and also to our officers here at the council as well. I think FOIs were done in various councils, I think probably Staffordshire, asking how much was spent on climate change staff. And of course at this council, it's part of the job which they do on sustainability and environment, country parks and all sorts of things. There's no money splashed on roles which are here to just move one agenda. It's part of a whole agenda, which I think most residents in our borough, our county, sign up to, and I'll say more about that in a bit. Instead, I propose we replace it, following full scrutiny and consultation, with renewed focused commitment that reflects both the progress we've made in the past and the challenges we face ahead. Under the previous Conservative administration, Mr Chairman, at this council, we implemented a fully costed action plan between 2021 and 2025. That's what we decided to do, 5-year chunks. I've seen comments in the press, Mr Chairman, about uncosted up to 2050. We never took that approach. What we did do was take 5-year chunks and make sure it was funded and had deliverables, and we have delivered upon those. One of them has been talked about numerous times already today is the LED street light upgrade initiated in 2021, which saved over £2 million annually. And then, of course, fallen into the new administration's lap when they took over in May was the additional rollout of 47,000 LED fittings, which will save another £1 million a year. Also, during the period 2021 to 2025, across this council's building estates, improvements on heating, insulation, lighting, I've also saved a significant amount of money, so much so that throughout the plan between 2021 and 2025, we've saved £3.5 million a year, a clear demonstration that improving our environment and value for money can go together. But it goes further than that, doesn't it, members? Enhancing and protecting our green spaces and nature, increasing recycling levels, promoting a culture of reuse, and I'm really interested that the portfolio touched on that in his opening comments. That was something that was spearheaded by the previous administration, the reuse culture, the circular economy, increasing recycling, using our household waste recycling centres, bringing them back under council control, and they're thriving now. I'm really pleased to see that as well. The new strategy must recognise legal responsibilities under the national legislation. And on my motion, I've listed what they are, as you can see at the bottom. They're the relevant Climate Change Acts, the Environment Act 2021 and others. These laws empower councils to act and requires us to do that responsibly. My amendment acknowledges the need to move forward with a new strategy. It maintains our commitment to environmental protection and mitigating our changing climate, because I would ask anybody to argue here that our climate isn't changing. We can argue over the reasons it's changing, but I think, as you can see from the wetter weather and the impact it's had on our highways, continually creating some of the problems that the portfolio of highways is trying to deal with now, and that this previous administration dealt with for many years, you can see that there is an effect on a changing climate. It grounds our actions in legal duties, financial prudence and community benefit. Let's not undo the good work already done. Let's build upon it with a refreshed vision, a practical strategy and a continued commitment to making Staffordshire cleaner, greener and more sustainable and resilient as a county. I move the amendment.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? Councillor White, thank you. And now... Oh, yeah.
Yes, so thank you to Councillor Tagg for that excellent exposition. And actually thank you to the Cabinet member as well, because I felt your comments were quite balanced also. And it seems like we're probably all shooting at the same thing here, really, which is under our administration, we sought to meet our legal obligations. This council always upholds its legal obligations, and I'm sure you would want to do the same, but in a very cautious way. So unlike some councils that wanted to achieve net zero by 2030 at all costs, and I mean literally at all costs, incredibly expensive, we met the minimum requirement, but we focused in our activities here on reducing waste and particularly on saving energy bills, both within the council and helping others outside to do it. And the successes of that, we were talking about the LED street lighting programme. That's a key element of that, £2.2 million per year of savings there. But it's one of many energy-saving initiatives that we've taken as a part of that. And I know that you agree with us on that, because I noted earlier this week Councillor Murray's support for our business energy advice initiative, where we to provide advice to businesses to do the same thing, to save money and cut waste. And that's the driving force behind the work that we have done on this agenda, along with adaptation. We all know that we're getting wetter weather, for example, and things like that. There are changes happening, but what we all agree on is we need to be cautious. We particularly need to look after the taxpayer's pound and try and avoid burdening businesses with extra costs. I never loved the climate emergency term, and I'd be quite happy to see that go. And I think in this motion, it proposes that we have something new. I think the language could quite happily change as far as I'm concerned. I've said in this chamber many times on this topic, we shouldn't wear a hair shirt whilst trying to do the right thing. Doing the right thing is, of course, looking after our environment, but it's also looking after people in their everyday lives. So let's work together on this. We will literally work together with you on it. We'll sit around a table, we'll craft something together that we can all sign up to, and let's all agree and get on with it. And I think there's a theme today, isn't there? Because, yeah, there's some robust discussions about some things and some scrutiny. But there's a lot of things we want to work with you on and agree with you on. This is an example. Let's work together on this, get something that's fit for purpose, and get on with it.
And now we'll open it up, and first is Jack Rose.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to raise that Councillor Miners has failed to declare an interest in this item. I refer the item to the monitoring officer to make a decision on the potential breach of conduct. Councillor Miners works for a Geolog International Group, a group that specialises in oil, gas and geothermal operations. He's also on the committee of the London Petrophysics Society, which advertise that BP is their gold sponsor. Working for a company that perpetuates climate destruction while simultaneously proposing a motion to retract the climate emergency shows a clear corporate preference and conflict of interest. I would ask that this motion is removed from the floor due to Councillor Miners failing to declare an interest. Thank you. And I reserve the right to speak following a decision by officers.
Councillor Murray. Oh, sorry. Yes, if you stay seated, the councillor are going to advise me. Okay, thank you for your patience. Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'd like to bring in Kate Loader on the conflict of interest.
In relation to this matter, I've had the opportunity to consult the Register of Interest, and I can confirm that Councillor Miners has declared his employment in BDM Geolog UK Limited. He's also declared an interest on other registrable interests in relation to SPE, Society of PE, and LPS London Petrophysics Society. All matters that have been referred to today are properly declared in his Register of Interests. It is now a matter for Councillor Miners to confirm whether or not he considers that he is conflicted by reason of this matter. If he feels that he is not conflicted by reason of this matter, then the debate and the motion will continue for consideration. If there's continuing residual concern after that event, that is a matter that can be referred and considered within a standards complaint. Thank you.
So, Councillor Miners, do you feel that you're conflicted or not? Thank you.
No, Mr. Chair, I don't think I'm conflicted, and we have cross-party support here, and it's been a cabinet decision as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the debate continues on the amendment. Ian Cooper.
Well, I hope you all enjoy that brief break. Interesting. I thank the members opposite for their comments and stuff. It's great, isn't it, again, where Reform lead, the Conservatives suddenly decide after 5 years, or whenever the climate emergency came in, they will follow. I think Kemi Badenoch has made that very, very clear. It's an expensive, wasteful process. The Tories are now coming around to our thinking. I won't dignify our colleague there with a view for him. Not until he's appropriately attired to grace this chamber. However, as regard the amendment, I thank you for putting that forward, Councillor Tagg. I would urge members that we reject any amendment and we stick with the original motion put forward by Councillor Miners. Thank you.
Councillor Tagg, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the comments that have been made. I think this bit about we're moving in your direction, I think the portfolio holder was commented in the, I believe it's the Burton Mail, when he said, "I'm entirely in favour of practical energy-saving measures while reducing energy consumption to cut costs at the same time for businesses, consumers and taxpayers." Well, welcome to our plans between 2021 and 2025, because that's what we've achieved. I outlined that earlier, and I think, so welcome aboard on this. And I think what you have done as administration is try to, and you're trying to do it with this, is to take words out of it that you don't like, but actually you know really that you have to continue this agenda as because of the legislation that's been put forward. And some of that is good legislation, whether it's nature recovery. I'm really pleased you haven't brought a motion to rescind the nature recovery declaration that I brought to this council. I think it was in 2021, 2022. And that nature recovery, we're under obligations under the Environment Act 2021 to put that forward. And I know that's changed portfolio holder to another portfolio, and I hope that she will be leading that charge at the steering group to ensure that we get that nature recovery. And that's all, again, about saving green spaces, about enhancing green spaces, planting trees and all stuff like that. Just other comment before I move the amendment is comments have been made about some of the energy-saving things that the county's been involved in. We've also had money from Warmer Homes, which is actually helping people who are on low wages to become more energy efficient and to make savings on their energy bills at a time when energy bills have gone through the roof because of all of the different things, not just green tariffs, but also the world situation in Ukraine and all of that. I think what's really needed as well, why I'm moving this motion, is scrutiny along the way of your new plans. And I think you should have a new environment strategy, but I think we should all be able to input and sign up to it. And this motion allows us to do that. And then lastly, as mentioned about business, and I think it was Philip that mentioned about the business, the Staffordshire Environment Business Network. That helps businesses, it has funding for businesses to be able to cut not only emissions, but also to change the way that they operate to enable them to make savings as well at a time when businesses are under pressure. So there are good parts of all of this, and I'm really pleased that the portfolio holder, as he said in the Burton Mail, signs up to our agenda, which we've had for the past few years. And if he wants to take the words out of it, I agree with Councillor White on the declaration and the emergency bits of it. I think we've moved on from that now. And we just need to ensure that this is business as usual and it delivers what we want to deliver, and that is a green and more sustainable Staffordshire. And that's what I've been saying when I was portfolio holder for 4 years. So please support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now vote on the amendment, Councillor Tagg's amendment. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. And now we'll vote on Councillor Minor's. As the amendment has failed, we could...
When you're asking for the vote.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have the vote on Councillor Minor's motion. No, sorry. Okay, we're going to rerun the vote for the amendment. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. Those abstain? Aye. Thank you. Right. Now we can move back to the debate on Councillor Minor's motion. Are there any speakers? Councillor Rose.
Thank you, Chair. I wholeheartedly reject the proposed retraction of the climate emergency. In his rationale, Councillor Minors admits that we experience extremes in weather, but without directly mentioning the flooding and extreme heat that is affecting both our rural and urban residents. Reform promised to do best by our farmers, but condemns them to fluctuations in precipitation and temperatures that cause unpredictable farming productivity. In his policy, he mentions cleaner air, protecting our countryside and the nature that lives there. However, these are all policies promoted by climate protection. He says he wants to invest in projects that will make a measurable difference to our residents, but just recently the Cabinet have turned down £4.5 million from central government, an initiative that was not only cost-free to Staffordshire residents, but would have actually promoted cleaner and healthier air. Instead of creating a vision for environmental protections, Councillor Minors has decided to take a step back into the fog of the unknown. No vision, no policy, just an irrational and poorly thought out headline. I despair at the complete lack of vision by the Cabinet member and his ideological refusal to accept climate change as a scientific fact.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. I won't give him a dignified reply until he changes his clothes, so we might write to him instead for an answer.
I'll now put Councillor Hussain. Catch me in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I find rather harsh when I try to exercise my right to abstain from the vote and some of the giggling noise. It's not a good practice for local democracy. I hope in the future, wise colleague will use your wisdom, and I'm here happy to learn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am not declaring a climate emergency was not a rhetoric. It was about recognizing scientific facts and also our moral obligations. Before you start this meeting, the Right Reverend duly said 3 words: care, responsibility, and the community. Mr. Chairman, yes, we must deliver value for money and focus on the here and now, but totally abandoning long-term climate commitments undermines both. Extreme weather, flooding, and rising costs are already affecting our residents and services. Tackling these issues is about protecting the vulnerable and supporting our economy. Mr. Chairman, we do not owe this planet, but we are mere leaseholders. We owe a duty to our future generations for a resilient community, a cleaner and safer world. Hence, Mr. Chairman, I cannot support these motions and to resign our climate emergency declarations. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, Chair. Just on to some of what Councillor Rose was saying on the climate emergency. One of the examples he gave was about flooding, about floodplains and flooding zone areas. I know in Kerborough that's been an issue in the past. But a lot of the issue isn't only due to our changing climate, which is recognised, however, the cause is differential and people may argue where it comes from. A lot of that is due to felling of trees, where it can, for example, affect how basically absorption of the waters. So we have to be aware of that, but putting it all to climate change is a bit folly in terms of what the causes of man-made causes. Man-made causes like cutting down trees, I'd agree with. I want to comment just briefly on the tutting a minute ago and politicisation. We just couldn't hear you, sir. I do apologise. So it's more about that we just wanted to properly hear the points that you're making. Let's not politicise and be weird about that. Thank you.
Councillor White.
Thank you very much, Chair. It is important that we hear one another respectfully, and I think shouting boring and things like that are really beneath the dignity of Staffordshire as represented in this chamber. We can disagree in a dignified and decent way. We've outlined the reasons why we feel our motion is a better version than your motion, but we certainly won't stand in the way of what you, I think, are about to vote through. One point I will make is, because it's not concluded in the motion, it's one of the important things for us is we would appreciate confirmation that you do plan to uphold all of our legal obligations in a similar way to we've done. We've done it as cautiously as we can in as positive a way. We hope that will continue because this council has always upheld its legal obligations. But the other thing to say is if you do vote this through, we will seek to work with you to craft something going forward that is good and fit for purpose and that we can all cleave to, certainly on our benches, because we do agree with the broad thrust of this.
Thank you, Councillor. And I agree with Councillor Philip White. Please don't make any noises. Please don't shout down when people are talking. It's not becoming of this place. Thank you. We will now vote on Councillor Minor's motion. Yes, did you want to say anything further?
No, I wanted to say thank you very much for that. And we will working with the officers for all the legalities and follow through on a new environmental policy as we work forward into the new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we will vote on the motion, finally. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No. And those abstain? Aye. Thank you very much. That's aye. Motion's carried. Right, moving on to item 7, dispensation request. So I'll just read that out there, just read that.
No, just invite the leader of the council to
Okay. Councillor Cooper.
Morning, James. Item 7, dispensation request that this matter be deferred to the 23rd of October 2025 to the extraordinary meeting on LGR so that councillors have the benefit of more information before they consider this matter.
Is that agreed? Moving on to item 8, changes to the Constitution and political assistant posts. Councillor Cooper, will you move the consideration of the report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I think obviously without going on again because we've discussed this quite a lot, but I do move that the changes be made without labouring the point. Thank you.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. And we have speakers. Councillor Rose.
Thank you, Chair. I will be voting against this proposal, and I urge members of the ruling administration to think of their residents and not their political whip when voting themselves. Councillor Cooper has provided no detail on the brief that the political assistants will be performing. Yes, he said some vague remarks about improving efficiency, saving money and getting on with the job. But after 5 months of not fulfilling those original election promises, the appointment of a political assistant confirms the nail in the coffin that the leader of Staffordshire County Council is completely out of his depth. I must also state for the record that I've never left a scrutiny meeting feeling so confused more than on Monday. Time after time, Councillor Cooper was asked to explain why in his original report he mentioned LGR, but then since his new report no longer mentions LGR. The updated report now has wishy-washy political rhetoric about supporting the administration and improving efficiency, but no targets, no roles, no portfolios, and nothing to measure against. A complete waste of taxpayer to pay for the uninformed political failings of Councillor Cooper. Before I finish, I want to reiterate that the report still states the role will cost £71,005. Any remarks by the leader saying that this will only cost £27,000 is unjustified and there is no evidence to support this. Mind you, if £55,000 a year is not a good enough wage to do a capable job of leader, perhaps paying someone £70,000 a year to mark your homework will fix all the county's financial difficulties.
Councillor Greatrix.
Chairman, I'll try not to prolong this too much. It doesn't really matter what the cost is. I think we've established that. It doesn't really matter what the grade of the job is. It doesn't matter what the title of the job is. This was called in because there's no value for money analysis. There still is no value for money analysis. All we've heard about is that it's for future projects. No detail whatsoever. I have made the point before that the LGA has been used in the past. The LGA are very good at giving assistance for targeted assistance to local authorities, and that's really the way that it would go. This side will probably vote against it, but I don't want to prolong it anymore.
Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair. I don't want to rehearse these arguments because we had at the scrutiny committee on Monday. It was called in. It was right to do so. That's our job as councillors, is to call in decisions and scrutinise them whenever we feel appropriate. The main issue I've got with this is, firstly, as we've discussed earlier, this is a decision to spend just over £142,000. Now, the leader can say that the roles are going to be not £70,000 roles, they're going to be £27,000. As we've heard from Councillor Rose, we don't know that. we'll wait to see if that's true, but we're actually discussing the paper here, which sets out to change the Constitution to bring in 2 political assistants at a maximum cost of £142,000. And to me, there is no value for money argument there. The political assistants that are, well, the one assistant that would be offered to the opposition group, we're going to reject. We don't think it's a good use of taxpayers' money. I do find it strange that Reform, they campaigned on bringing down the waste in Staffordshire County Council, and ever since they were elected in May, all they seem to be doing is adding money to taxpayers, whether it's in by-elections or political posts or now these political assistants. We're told these political assistants are going to be non-political, which I'm trying to get my head around. They'll sit in the Member and Democratic Services team, and they'll be available to assist the controlling group. We've already said we don't want one, and Councillor Cooper made it clear on Monday that that means we won't get access to this person. So, again, I find that rather strange that as councillors we don't get access to a paid member of staff, but that's absolutely fine. I'll respect the decision. I just don't think that this is something that this council should be investing in. We're all here to do the jobs that we're elected to do, represent the people that voted us in, sit on committees, stand up in council like this, and make the decisions that we believe is necessary. Now, the argument could be about research. Well, Councillor Cooper's done lots of research today. He's come with bits of paper and waved them in the air. He's clearly done enough research. So I'm not entirely sure what the point of this role is, how it's going to help taxpayers, how it's going to help my residents in Lichfield Rural South, and what value for money it's going to bring to the people that ultimately elect us. So we'll be voting against this, and I'm just confused, and I don't understand politically also why this benefits Reform to bring it in. It baffles me. So we'll be voting against it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. It's a point of order, really, with Councillor Rose. He said that we've all been whipped. I have had no such instructions, sir.
I'll be brief as well, as the meeting is dragging on, isn't it? So we had a lengthy discussion about this at the call-in on Monday, and it's clear what the administration's mind is on this. You are perfectly entitled to vote to have a political assistant. That's your right. For a point of clarification, and Councillor Greatorix attempted to make it earlier, but I'll make it again to make it crystal clear. Philip Atkins, the leader of the council, from when we took control, has clearly stated that at no time has this council directly employed political assistants. We had assistants from the LGA. So I just want to clear up that point. Have you got something that says different? Okay, that's very interesting. I'll be interested to see that. Perhaps you can take that up with Councillor Atkins. But the overall point here is, you're perfectly entitled to employ a political assistant if you want to, but the electorate is perfectly entitled to judge you for it. You stood on a platform of reducing wasteful spending. The electorate will take a view as to whether the money that they give to this council through their taxes that pays for all of your allowances as cabinet members should be sufficient to cover the political needs of reform at Staffordshire County Council. You feel you need more than that. It's your right to decide that. It is the electorate's right to judge you as to whether you are keeping to your manifesto commitment to cut waste.
Well said.
Councillor Hunt.
I will hold myself on this one.
Councillor Luca.
Yeah. Question I have is, they say that they've actually not had this position, but can we have it confirmed today that until 2014, they didn't have just one person, but they had 2 persons filling this exact position?
And Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, again. I feel like I'm labouring the point here again, aren't I? I'm more than happy to share the screenshots, LinkedIn. More than happy to do that. These aren't my words, so these are wrong. You'd have to go back to the person that wrote them, quite frankly. But there are some screenshots going back a number of years to individuals, not at the same time, but in consecutive bits and pieces. They do describe themselves. They started off in the Cabinet Office and the head of communications then went on to go and help Matthew Ellis, who was then the Police and Crime Commissioner, as one example of that. They actually start off in Leicestershire County Council, described on their own pieces of paper here as a political assistant, and as I said before, that individual has a web page, and I screenshot the web page. Now, if these are wrong, that's misinformation, isn't it? Not our misinformation, that's whoever wrote that. So I would take issue with Philip Atkins. Unfortunately, he's not here to say, but that's what we found out. So this is what this person describes themselves on LinkedIn. The titles change. People call them assistants, they call them cabinet support, they call them communications, they call them all sorts of things. So I'm only going on that. But this is a position that was written in by the Conservatives in 1989. And they, as I said again, they use the title political assistant. We know that isn't what it is. It's not what we want. The framework is not our design. It's not the value that we put on this. But it did go through a process. It went through the council. They reviewed it, assessed it, graded it. We disagreed with the grading. We thought it should be lower grading. So that's what we've taken as advice. This is an employee of Staffordshire County Council, and as I said, these are the screenshots we've been given. So I'll leave it to Councillor White to find out whether his own members are telling the truth or not, but this is before our time, so I take no responsibility for what they have written. Just make that very, very clear. But just for context, it's nice to get what other councils say, isn't it? You can go on the websites and Google away and find out what the Tories have said. And I stopped at about a dozen different councils. There's a lot of councils, I just got bored of going through them all. There's so many. And they sort of, South Cambridgeshire. Political assistants provide vital support to councillors fulfilling their duties effectively. Northampton Borough Council, instrumental in supporting group functions is one of their quotes. Well, we've got Brighton, Hove. They've got a very long advert here. The then Councillor McAllister said, these roles are, I quote, business critical. So you're talking about value for money, actually doing the research, doing the hard work, the graph, the finding out. The officers could do so much. The officers are brilliant here. They're really good. But there are things that they can't do and they can't go and look at. And this is a bridge between the two, between the political and between the officer class. So there's a range of them. Royal Borough of Greenwich, 2024. This is an investment in local democracy and will ensure good governance. I think I read the Bedford one out. Mid-Sussex have got a part-time. Political discourse is better served if everyone on all sides has the best possible factuated facts. I could go on. There are pages of this on the website. You had the choice and option to have one. You chose not to. That is normally, your choice. Clearly, you think you made better business decisions. I'm quite sure that when we go through our business review, that the decisions that you think you made are not quite as good as you think. I'd move that we accept this position as a political assistant and support to members of Reform. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. One or two people have indicated they want to speak, but Councillor Cooper has responded, so the debate is finished. It has been moved and seconded that the recommendations contained in this report be approved. Is that agreed? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to item 9, proposed addition to the scheme of delegation. Councillor Cooper, will you move the consideration of the report, please?
Additional schemes to help with the vote.
Oh, well, that's yes, it's a correct one, yes. I actually propose that this scheme be adopted in terms of delegation. I believe it helps the Crow, doesn't it? I believe it helps the fact of doing the countryside partnership, and I propose that this be accepted.
And we'll second it. Councillor Murray, thank you. I'll now open the scheme up to debate. Do we have any speakers? No? Okay. Right, it has been moved and seconded that the recommendations contained in the report be approved. Is that agreed? Aye. Thank you. Moving on to item 10. Corporate Parenting Panel Annual Report. Councillor Lakin, will you move the consideration of the report, please?
Move the report for consideration.
And do I have a seconder? Are there any speakers on this? Yes, we do. Okay. Councillor Hood.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just looking on page 81, and there's a paragraph which says, "We continue to work with housing providers to enable you to have a permanent and safe home. We provide a smooth transition to adult services where this is appropriate." Yes, there is a smooth transition used, but sadly we don't have the houses to put our young care leavers in. The Corporate Parenting Panel raises awareness of the challenges that our looked after children face. This is an excellent report in both outlining the duties our members have in making sure that every young person in care gets every opportunity available to them. I'm very proud, and I'm sure you all are, that Staffordshire County Council looks after our young people until they're age 25. We don't just throw them out then, there is continuing support. But there's not many authorities that look after their looked after children until that age. We also need to know that the picture which is shown on page 74, report page 4, which shows a house with a key, is just that, a picture. Care leavers will eventually need a home to call their own. We're told we can't put them in bed and breakfast. On page 80, we give a promise to support and value that young care leaver, and there's a quote from a care leaver saying, "I want supportive housing." Well, of course they do. "Give me more training to manage my own tenancy." The reality is that there is very little housing, in some cases none, available to our care leavers in our districts. The government has launched a large-scale house build throughout Staffordshire. When do you hear care leavers specifically mentioned by developers in their plans? Never. Chairman, through you, I would like to ask the leader of this council, asks all county councillors, go back to their local and district councils and raise concerns about the lack of housing available for our young care leavers. I know that in my division, Stafford Borough Council has an amazingly thorough and experienced team of officers who care very deeply about our care leavers and who work closely with Staffordshire County Council. This may prevent youngsters, many of them who have suffered trauma and chaotic lives, being sent out of area where everything they hold dear is and our worst case scenario is ending up homeless and being forced to live on the streets. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Anne Edgeler.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, I welcome this annual report on our children in care. Being councillors, we're all corporate parents, whether on the committee or not. Being a former foster parent and adoptive parent, I cannot emphasise enough the help that the children in care need, especially when they're leaving care, as councillors have mentioned about housing, especially when they're leaving care and they become vulnerable to the outside world. I've sat on corporate parenting panel for many years and I've seen the good work that has taken place over that time. I personally want to say thank you to all the officers that have overseen the work that has taken place. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I remember, I go back to 1980s, early 90s, when I first got involved. I wasn't a councillor then, but I got involved with children's services at this county council, and it was diabolical that it was way it was run then, and we don't want to go back to those days. Yes, it cost the council a large amount of money out of the budget, but every penny spent is worth it to protect the children's future. Oops, sorry. Mental health plays a major part in helping these children who, through no fault of their own, suffer mental torture. And I know this firsthand. I fully understand this is not an easy problem to solve. Chairman, may I ask and make a request that if you're a member of the corporate parenting panel, that you attend the meetings, because we seem to be getting an awful lot of apologies of late at these meetings. So please, if you sit on the panel, please attend and have the input, and let's do what we can to help these children. Thank you.
Councillor Chris Large.
Sorry, no,
You won't turn off.
What turn off?
Councillor Philip White.
Thank you very much, Chair. I simply wanted to rise to say on behalf of the Conservative group, and I'm sure it will be echoed in the leader's comments in a moment, just an enormous thank you to all of the carers in Staffordshire. Our ideal is that we have no children in care, but in the real world there are children who need to be cared for by people who are not their parents. And each of those carers, in whatever setting they do that in, sacrifices an enormous amount to give care and love to children who need both a very great deal. We thank them enormously for it. We need more people to do that. Not everyone is able to, but I would encourage anybody who thinks they might have space in their life for a child that needs to be looked after to please investigate it. We need you. Thank you so much to those who already do it.
Councillor Luca.
This is just to actually a heads up what you're talking about Kelly. Myself and Tracy are working with a group of actually people that were in care, have come through the system, and we're putting a co-production system together, workshop. So I would actually like you, when we've got this in place and we send the dates out, to ask you all to attend, because this is how, as councillors, we can bring the system so it doesn't fit around like our needs for words and stuff like that. It fit around their needs and their outcome. So I would like to give you officially today an invite to this workshop, and we will send the dates out when we've finished putting all the package together.
Thank you, Councillor Luca. And finally, Councillor Lakin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a portfolio lead for children and families, it's right that we should thank all of the carers and the officers involved, but the carers especially. It's a difficult job that they do. With regards to homes, we haven't got enough homes in the country. Full stop. That is a decision of this government and the previous government, or a failure of this government and the previous government, to build sufficient homes. So if we haven't got sufficient homes, our children in care are going to suffer when they get to leave care. Foster carers, I would implore everybody in the room, if you have an opportunity to encourage anybody to put themselves forward as a foster carer or an adopter, then please do, because nationally, again, we are short of foster carers, and within the region, we're short of foster carers. In relation to the attendance at the corporate parenting panel, I'm the chair there, and yes, we do have a lot of apologies, but also there are a number of folk who just attend that meeting to attend a meeting. So we need people to attend the meeting who are going to be proactive at the meeting and beyond the meeting. But a thank you to all those that do attend. And it's been an eye-opener listening to the individuals around that room. And that's care leavers that speak there, as well as foster carers, as well as officers, as well as the politicians. I would just encourage everybody, you know, that we are all carers for the children in Staffordshire. And that's not just those that are not in care. That's every child in Staffordshire. They all need our support, they all need our encouragement, and they need our guidance as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lakin. I move that this report be received. Is that agreed? Aye. Thank you. Item 11, 2024 Community Fund Report and next steps. Councillor Coles, will you move the consideration of the report, please? And do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Murray. And open that up to any speakers. Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. I just want to say this is one of my favourite things that we do here at Staffordshire County Council, because amidst all the big spending we do on roads and social care and children, all the really important stuff, the Community Fund has such an impact on our communities and our smaller projects. And I'd encourage any councillor who hasn't yet spent all their money, please do, because £50 or £100 or a couple of £100 to a local scout group or a local PTA makes such a big difference, whether you're just buying some planters or helping them with some books. I helped a local allotment that run free sessions for children. They wanted some seeds and a little planter. I've also recently helped a project in Fazeley where they were just doing some nice artwork on some bus stops just to make it a little bit brighter for the children going to school. I think it's really, really important, and I'd urge the Cabinet member to please continue this scheme in future years, and I wholeheartedly support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell. Well said. Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Chairman, and I'd like to associate myself with the comments made by my colleague to my right. This community fund is essential for small organisations, just to have a tiny acorn with which to grow a great oak. And with that, such amazing things can happen in this county. So I really hope and urge the Cabinet member to continue with this fantastic initiative. As you'll see in the report, Kinver was a beneficiary of this with the promotional work that we've been doing, and all of those leaflets went into the pigeonholes of all of the members to have a look at as well. So whether it's a scheme to do some promotional work, whether it's to allot some funding to the Gabe Pride thing in Stafford, whatever it might be, I really, really hope that this fantastic initiative will continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Broom.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to associate myself with the great words you just gave. Both myself and Councillor Eggington have been able to support the local youth centre in Biddulph. We support Biddulph North, Biddulph South and Endon, and the people that voted for us have been very, very grateful with the small amounts of money we have been able to give to them. I mean, we went on a bipartisan donation, and we were able to give quite a large sum to the youth centre. I would urge my colleagues in the finance department, if they could find some more money, and maybe next year we have twice as much. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bentley.
Thank you very much for that. Thanks for letting me speak. Yes, I agree with everybody in the chamber. It's the nicest part, isn't it, helping little groups out. But can I just ask, I don't know if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologise I'm wrong. Apparently, that figure was £10,000 a few years ago that we give out, and it was reduced to 2.5. I might be wrong, I don't know, or they've moved the names of it, but I was told by a former county councillor they had a lot more money a few years ago to give out to local charities, and it was reduced. I'm not saying it was. So is that something as a cross-group we can consider lifting it up and maybe taking it from the highway one? Because the highway budget seems very difficult. So could we take a little bit from that and give it? I'm on about our little budgets. I'm on about our little budgets of the highways, not the main one. Yeah, the little pot. So so I think we're all on the same wavelength. But can I have some clarity? Not now, but in the future. Did we reduce it from 10,000 down? Because that'd be interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, we'll provide you with the answer in due course. Thank you. Councillor Brown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just want to very quickly add to this. Yeah, a community fund currently in my division, Needwood Forest, going to defibrillator, school mental health workbooks, a library corner, slow kiddie signs, much needing netting, which is really controversial because footballers are kicking goals over a goal into a tennis club, and they're desperate for some money towards it. I'm only doing money towards because everyone needs a bit, and I'm trying to spread it across 10 parishes. Anyway, yeah, it's fantastic. Everyone loves it, and they see it as something really, really positive. Thanks very much.
Councillor Higgins.
Drop my coat. Yeah, I'll just
like to say that I agree with the community fund. It's a really positive thing that the council does. And Lichfield Rural West, the villages I support, they've used it on OAP dinners, a lawnmower for the cricket club, a fun day in the park, a literacy evening for children. So it's all sorts of things. So I'm a bit like Councillor Bentley. If we can get more money, that would be great, because I do think the villagers and the residents appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to mention a community fund that I think close to my heart and the heart of many in Cannock Chase, and it's the TNASC fund. Basically, it's a fantastic part of the community fund that helps autistic teenage from 11 to 18 to help them really integrate and kind of have that step foot. Well, it's not only about that, it's about being really an open, judgment-free space where autistic people are able to come forward and learn skills which you might not be able to learn in the educational practices of school sometimes, and then that transferable skills into the workplace as they leave school as well. So I just wanted to mention that, and also just to mention that I know there's been some cross-party support for this, but I just want to discuss it a bit more around the idea of supporting a community fund that's seen going around called Help Squaddy. I think it's a great community supporters. We have loads of ex-military who really do need the help from that fund, I think, and I think we could all get together as Staffordshire County Council to support that fund. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
I'd like to say what everyone else has said, that the community fund is definitely one of my favourite parts of being a councillor. So one of the projects I support is a pantomime. There we go, thank you, it's been a long day. Oh, right. And it's been great as well to support previous projects. I've supported Amberby this time as well, and I can't wait for next year when we see the report again and we can see what everyone else has done next year too. Thank
you. Councillor Chapman.
Thanks very much, Chair. Well, it's great. I really do appreciate what we're able to do in our local community, and I do remember when it was a lot more money. And in my particular area, Cotswold Division, I'm part funding the local food bank. It's helping parents in a particular school area. There's a school project also where it's a room where the youngsters can go and just chill out a little bit. We've got a community project. It's helping with a mugger. We also, my local church, I'm part funding a shed, and there's a teenage chill-out scheme, which is really close to my heart. I want to help with them. Finally, there's a village hall, helping them with a fridge, and that's it really, but it's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you. And Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Hunt has already mentioned a dear charity that's really close to my heart, as everybody knows, is Help Squaddy. I'd just like to thank everybody that's supported the charity so far, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I won't be accepting any more hands up but the ones I've got on my screen. So, Councillor Luca.
Obviously, community fund. I mean, I wish we could do more, but obviously we are limited to what we've got. And one thing that I used my fund for was a charity in Tamworth, which can't get funding, and up to date, they've actually saved over 900 lives from people that are close to suicide. They've approached the Borough Council, and the Borough Council doesn't want to know, but then they still send people to these facilities. Is there anything we can do as, a county council to start looking at these and give them a bit more funding, or allow it to actually give them some resources that they can come in and they can use some more of our resources to take the cost off them?
Yes, Wayne, you need to speak to the appropriate cabinet member on that, and hopefully we can get something moving. Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Wallins.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I'll agree with everyone
that's been going up and speaking about the community support funds. Same again, you know, it's my favourite time being a councillor as well, giving money to various charities and groups as well. I know I gave some money out to the Old Sheriff's Bride to keep that old event going, to make Lichfield unique with the events that goes on throughout the year. And one thing I've been championing on, and I've mentioned it to many other groups I've been visiting, obviously to fill out the form, to help the events, to give the vulnerable kids and even any kids really, to get more involved in these groups. And to mention about the helper squad, yeah, I'll be accepting that invitation. Well, I'll be accepting the form later on today. Thank you.
Thank you. I must say, Councillor Wallins, you've been very quiet today. Yeah. Okay. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. This community fund is great, isn't it? It's fantastic. It helps an awful lot of charities and groups across the whole of the county. I think it's a great idea. I'll take on board the points you made. Obviously, you have to talk to the Cabinet Member for Finance to see if there's any money in the kitty at all. And I think it's great. I mean, I did see last year the Conservatives wanted to help out the most neediest in the county, so they gave a load of money to the county council opposite, who's a director of a company. Great, you know, fantastic. We're here to help local communities. More than happy. Tamworth Radio, which obviously Councillor Farrell is a director of, was a recipient of a lot of community fund money. I mean, the fact that we just found in the notes.
Point of order, please. Yes.
Thank you. And I appreciate Councillor Cooper keeping an interest. Radio Tamworth is a community interest company, and other councillors, not myself, chose to donate some money. So I'm happy to have a conversation with him about it, or invite him on as an interviewee.
Thank you. Councillor Cole, Councillor Coles, would you like to respond? Would you like to finish off?
So I just really would concur that the community fund is amazing. If there's a little bit of a delay in me signing it off, I actually am doing extra checking because we need to check it is going to the right areas, and it is down to us. We're going to get a lot of scrutiny, so I am signing them off as quick as I can, whether it's in my inbox. But yeah, the intention is to keep it going. If we can make efficiencies, which we hope we can, you never know, might be more money. So thank you.
Well done. Thank you. I move that the report be received. Is that agreed? Yes. Thank you. Item 12, report of the Police, Fire and Crime Panel. Councillor Screen, will you move the consideration of the report, please?
Mr Chairman and fellow councillors, I acknowledge receipt of the Staffordshire Police, Fire and Crime Panel report. I thank the Chair and the panel for their work. Any detailed questions on the report's contents can be directed to the author for a response. Thank you.
And do we have any speakers? Okay. I move that the report be received. Is that agreed? Thank you. Members, the 15 questions and answers have been circulated to members and published on our website. In accordance with the usual procedure, the questions and answers will be taken as read. I will allow each questioner 5 minutes in which to ask a supplementary question and to receive an answer. No debate is allowed on the question. So, question 1. Councillor Chapman to Councillor Screen. Do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, I do have a supplementary. Thank you, Chair. That's to Councillor Screen. Well, I'd like to work with you and to achieve value for money for Staffordshire. It's good to see you doing some things, but with your status as Cabinet Member for County Safety, we need to see more. So now that you've taken on the County Council portfolio for community safety, do you think that this requires a full Cabinet role? What do you intend to achieve over the next 12 months in respect of community safety
for the residents of Staffordshire. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Yeah. There is, you're right, there's a lot to do, a lot to get on with. Yeah. A lot of stuff that wasn't done before. Yeah. That's why we created this cabinet position. So I'll consider welcoming you on board. Yeah. Let's see if you can help in any way. I hope you can. I know if there's anybody else here who wants to, I've offered that before. It's all about the community safety. Yeah. There's a lot of projects ongoing. Yeah, and I am doing a lot of work. Like I say, I'm here 5 days a week, yeah, working on this. And a lot will come to fruition in time, but at the moment, we're working through various things, yeah. So I will welcome your assistance at some stage. Thank you.
Question 2, Councillor White to Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Leader, for your answer to my question. You've said in the answer that the County Council will continue to be a member and participate in the Leaders Board if it serves the purpose. But I'd just like you to elaborate on what you think the purpose of the Leaders Board is, because that's not detailed in the reply. Thank you.
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, the question, it really depends on the topic they're talking on the day, quite frankly. I've been to a couple of the leaders' meetings now, very informative. Some people just sit there and don't say anything. So it depends on what actually comes on in the day. Is it of a benefit to the council? I think it was constituted in June 2022. You're going to fact check me up on the month, aren't you? But I think that's the correct date. Yeah, it has benefit, it has merit. We don't know what's going to go in the future, changes in LGR. Like with any body, any group, whether it be a countryside element or the Leaders Board, if it adds value, we'll support it. If it adds no value, then we shouldn't be doing it, quite frankly. So I can't be more specific than that because I don't know the agenda for future meetings. But in terms of should we do something, we should evaluate everything, quite frankly.
Thank you. Councillor Greatrex to Councillor Large.
My supplementary is...
Oh, sorry, Councillor Holland. Sorry, Colin. Councillor Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the leader for not providing a yes or no answer again. Councillor Cooper, those £320 million in savings are clearly shown in the council's audited accounts signed off by independent auditors. So, from your answer to my question, I'm compelled to ask, is it that you simply don't understand how local government finances work and that councils make savings to support the delivery of services, or does the leader just not want the words to pass his lips that the Conservatives made £320 million of savings?
Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Councillor Holland. To give you a full answer to, I'm going to defer to my colleague, who will give you all the numbers you like, and it'll be very interesting. Thank you.
Councillor Large.
Pass on a question to someone else. Yeah.
Oh, it needs to be the leader that responds, I'm afraid.
The accounting is different for this council compared to outside in businesses. We don't run a P&L, we have a pound in and a pound out approach to this. These monies, if you have to think about it, the £320 million savings you claim, that money really goes back into the Treasury and then is reallocated to other areas. So it's not really a saving per se. It is you've just decided not to spend it on those items, it's gone somewhere else into the budget. If it had been a saving, the debt that this council accumulated over time would have been reduced. The amount of interest payment that this council pays over time would have been greatly reduced. Have any of those things happened in that period of time? The answer is no. Those £320 million that are there, that you say, weren't as in the P&L. They are there, put into other parts of the council's budget, into the Treasury, and they're held there and used to plug other gaps.
we need the Chief Exec or the Finance Director to advise us on this, but in terms of local government accounting, those savings are savings. That is money that the council was spending that it no longer spent on those things. And the whole point of local government finance in the world that we have lived in for many years is that you need to make savings to continue to fund frontline services. They are savings.
We'll take that question and respond in 5 days. Thank you. Councillor Greatrex to Councillor Large.
Thank you. My supplementary. Is it the case that reform in Staffordshire has not identified tens and tens and tens of millions of pounds, and that your first answer is a sign that reform in Staffordshire seeks to disown the claims made by its party's central leadership on not seeing huge sums to save?
Thank you, Chair. Well, the question that was asked, I think it was referring to Richard Tice, and we're quite happy to give you his telephone number if you wish, for all those, anybody that wishes to defect in the future. We're not into headlines. I've said that before. What we're trying to do is, what Central Office does in reform is that's their version. We're here in Staffordshire right now and we're serious at what we're doing. We made a promise when we first came in here that we were going to lift up the bonnet, take out the engine and rebuild it. And we've been doing that, and we've been working on some of the neglect that you put in. So we're not interested in the headline. We've methodically started to work with officers. We have some fantastic people in Staffordshire County Council. We've got a few also that are medium. But within weeks, we started to plug the hole. We started to methodically go through the strategic reviews as we went along. So immediately within a month or two, we were working with the officers, and where we found areas that we wanted to work on, we plugged the holes. The next thing we started to look at was the efficiency reviews. And again, I'll come back to this, and that is that we're here to do the cause and not the effect. We talked about this before earlier about throwing money at it, the NHS and Labour. In the first parts of this year, you threw money at potholes. We didn't want to do that. I mentioned it at the time. We wanted to work at Amy. We wanted to look at what was going wrong with Amy. Again, I'd put a fine point on this. You were here for the 10 years of Amy when they had the break point, and you still renewed that contract. Did you ever stop and think, are they really doing the job that we want on the roads? And can we stop them? Can we resolve this problem? And the problem lies within the detail. The devil is between the supply chain, and that's what we've been working on. We have found a large sum of money, and one of the most important things, I guess, is things like contractors and temporary workers. We've got lots of them, where we've got contractors that have been here for a period of years. I mentioned them earlier. A lot of that problem is caused by the grading system of our salary scheme. When we did the efficiency reviews, some of the feedback from the directors and the managers was, well, we can't really recruit people because we can't pay the right rates because of the grading system. The grading system has been here since 2008. So that's on our strategic review next year to change that plan. The other thing that I would look at is that we've started to do, looking at the efficiency reviews, and we've gained a 5% efficiency. We've now furthermore done a headcount freeze with exception for critical workers. Let me give you another couple of examples of what we found, because again, we're talking about the money and everything else. We started a mini strategic review on websites. Now you might say, well, a singular website? No, we found 100 of them. All their own little budgets, paying 5,000, 10,000 for network charging, when we can put this all together. So the reality is we're doing our own dose, and once we find the efficiencies, we will put them into the MTFS, and we will spend the money as wisely as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Brown to Councillor Coles.
Mr Chairman. Councillor Coles, thanks very much for answering the question, which was congratulating the project team responsible for refurbishment of Bergson Library and the significant underspend that they made. But your reply was you identified instances of disappropriate spending across several libraries. So, yeah, that's very worrying to me, as everyone else must be in the room, but I'm not sure that's true. So what I'd like to know is, please, may I have, this afternoon, locations, examples and details of these instances you describe, when we've already described this morning, and this afternoon, that our community libraries are fantastic facilities. And so therefore it is very disturbing, but again, we've had very, very little facts and lots of anecdotal suggestions. So please, may I have them this afternoon? Thank you.
Councillor Coles.
Well, you asked for it. So let's talk about Burton Library again, which is a question that was asked by Councillor Hales last time. You have asked us to state that there was a £300,000 saving with the refurbishment. There wasn't. Now, if you work in corporate, you set a project fee, you set contingencies, and you hope that you don't spend it all. And you didn't spend it all, the county didn't spend it all, because they went in there and found out you didn't need as much refurbishment. So the £300,000 didn't need to be drawn down from property and into other areas. So they didn't save it, they just didn't have to borrow it. And I think this is where you're getting confused, because you keep asking us to confirm savings. And go back to Ian's point, it's not a saving that you're making. And you're asking us to confirm this, and we're looking. So we have been mini-doge in my area, because it is quite a small area. I seem to get most questions on it. But I'll give you an idea. We need to look at this more tightly and manage taxpayers' money. So you set it out, you set a budget, you've set so many rooms out. The rooms are oversubscribed. So if you are working in a commercial business, which if you want to secure the libraries going forward, they need to bring income in. You can't keep relying on funding because it's not always going to be there. So you're putting the libraries at risk. So that you've actually not allowed enough rooms. So now we're trying to look at how we can add more rooms, because that's the income source that would actually sustain it to go forward. So it wasn't borrowed, that's it. So we've been looking under the bonnet, we found some efficiencies, and we're not just doing a tick box approach anymore. So basically we're going to look at it. There wasn't a marketing plan either, which how are you going to guarantee people are going to come through the doors when you've closed it for months on end? You're just not going to. So if you go and then say, if you spend incorrectly across 43 libraries, how will we sustain it with such a small budget? So there's your facts. And just a point of order, because you've been pulling people up for the way that we're speaking in this office, please consider your words. So you've put CML, so that obviously means community managed libraries, so the public reading that wouldn't understand what that means. Also, you refer to me as she. I'm not the cat's mother, I'm Councillor Coles, thank you.
Councillor Orlandi Fatini to Councillor Higgins. Oh, sorry, I've missed one. Yep. Yeah, sorry, Councillor Wilson to Councillor Coles. Councillor Wilson?
So, I beg your pardon. I was, yeah, thank you. Can I just make the point as well that when we address members, we actually address them through the chamber. So we don't say you, which is what was the word that was termed to me earlier on in this meeting. So I think maybe there's a bit of tightening up needed across the board. Now I'm going to ask my supplementary in the hopes that I don't come across as churlish, because that is not the person that I am. Obviously, if you decide to call me something at the end of this, I'll take it on the chin. But I don't feel that the questions that I've put forward to the member have been answered in any way, shape or form. I don't believe that the question was answered to the previous supplementary either. If we could just go back to the last county council meeting, where the cabinet members stated that more vigour would be needed and more understanding on how they're going to spend the money. Well, £1.3 million for Burton Library with a £300,000 saving. So the library looks fantastic. I think the cabinet member was questioning maybe the fees for the architects, the furniture, which, got to sit somewhere unless you're going to sit on the floor. So I'd like to understand where the savings could have been made there. I don't think that there's been any proof or any examples given to show where waste has taken place. This is a flagship library. All the work that's done in that library hasn't prevented any further works happening in any of the other libraries that we've got in the pipeline. The Cabinet member hasn't confirmed to me that that work is going to take place. In my question, I asked the question, she hasn't answered it. Is the Cabinet member not only criticising our fantastic property project team, which has done lots of work across the county, are we saying that they're not good at other projects? Does that need to be looked at as well? And also the marketing team. It's been mentioned earlier that we don't seem to be promoting ourselves very much. Well, we've got a marketing team, we've got a press team. Is the Cabinet member saying that they're not doing their job either? The footfall of all of our libraries, all of the libraries that we've improved, the footfall has increased on all of them except for the time being, Burton, simply because the car park was closed for 12 months. Now that will change once all of the town regeneration has been completed. So, okay, so my question, will the Cabinet member agree or disagree with the questions that I've put to her, both on paper and this afternoon? Thank you.
Councillor Coles.
So, thank you for your question, Councillor Wilson. Obviously, you were my predecessor. So, I'm also concerned that you didn't know the numbers and you... Can everyone else hear me? All right. So, you were my predecessor, and after the last full council, you had to ask for your own figures. You didn't know the figures, so if I was in a job for 14 years, I would want to know my figures. This is taxpayers' money that is being spent. So I'll give you specifics. So actually, you've used bespoke items and furniture. I'm answering the question. You've asked me for examples.
She's answering.
I'm answering the question. Can you let me finish speaking? I've let you finish speaking. Thank you.
Councillor Coles, can you...
she's asking me for examples.
Yes, but can you refer to her as Councillor Wilson, please?
I have done.
Thank you.
So, Councillor Wilson. So anyway, you spent money on bespoke furniture. Councillor Wilson has spent money on bespoke furniture. Why are we calling a point of order again?
Councillor Wilson, if you've got a point of order, can you make it?
Certainly, Chairman. As I said earlier, my understanding is, and I might be mistaken here, is that we talk through the chairman as opposed to addressing our members in person using you, and that is not how I understand that we work in this place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coles, please continue.
So I'll address for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So you've asked us what we've been looking at and how we'll save money. So Burton is going to be something I used because the last question was asked of Burton Library. And you've asked if I've got an issue with Burton Library and if the money has been spent badly in other areas. And the reason we've used Burton Library is if you actually look, it has the most bespoke items of furniture. Now, I'm glad the public are listening to this because did you know 40% of people in Staffordshire have asked for help with their council tax? They are struggling. And when they hear that we've had a bespoke tree area for over £10,800, we've got graphic wallpaper of £3,000 in the Send area. We've got bespoke furniture for sensory huts of nearly 3,500, nearly 4,000 elements to decorate this. Now, I've already looked at them. And actually, we could do that for a portion of the cost. And if you look down here, tactile sensory shimmer panel for, say, £785, £802, that would have been sufficient. So I am looking with the team of officers who are really keen to do this because we have 43 libraries that need investment. Why should Burton, Tamworth and all the big ones have the investment and all the others suffer? So I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen and we're going to use that £5 million much better going forward. So for me, this is about spending money in the right way. And then we'll make sure that we've got more libraries that are actually sustainable and we're doing it basically for taxpayers' money. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Orlandi Fantini to Councillor Higgins.
Thank you, Chair. My question is obviously for Councillor Higgins. Send, for me, is extremely important. I'd like to say firstly before I ask my question, if that's okay, Chair. Send to me is extremely important. My daughter is actually in the SEND system with autism. So for me, having resources for SEND is something that we really is tantamount to our SEND children and SEND services. And considering the long-term lack of resources for SEND services, what specific steps or additional support does Councillor Higgins think the current administration should provide to help officers move from a constantly reacting to issues towards a more proactive and sustainable way of delivering the service? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Higgins.
Thank you, Chair. I will say, like Orlando, I am very passionate about SEND. I've got my own grandchild who's got SEND, who's gone through the system, so I know how difficult it is, and it's a really, really hard process as a parent, as a grandparent, when you have got a child with special needs that does need that extra bit of support and help. And it's not always easy to find the help, and I do get that. So I am working very closely with the officers. And since I took up my role as the Cabinet Member for Education and SEND, I've taken the opportunity to highlight the long-term lack of funding for SEND, for the resources. And I will just say, if I can, it's not just for SEND children, it's for mainstream children as well. The whole education system really needs improving. But anyway, I'll digress, I'll get back, Saz. So I've taken the opportunity, as I say, to highlight the long-term lack of resources for the SEND services. I've spoken to the Members of Parliament, I've spoken to the Secretary of State for Education, lobbying them about the things that need to change. Everyone knows that the system is broken, and we're waiting, and it really needs to change, and we're waiting with bated breath for the white paper to come out. Should be in the next few weeks, hopefully. And we're hoping that there'll be plans in there to change the system. To support the officers to move away from constantly needing to be reactive and to be more proactive in delivering the service, we need to continue to invest in early support, prevention and intervention. That is crucial. Many years ago, I used to work with as a manager for a charity for family support, and I know how important that early intervention is. I was a teacher before I went into family support, because you can see at school, when young people come to school, if they haven't had the right early intervention, it comes out later on in life. So it's crucial that we get that early intervention, and that's what I'm supporting the officers with. Myself and Councillor Lakin are totally behind the Director of Families and Children and Families, who's doing an amazing job, and all the officers are doing an amazing job, and they're very restricted with what they can do because of the statutory requirements. If we get early intervention in, as I say, it will stop the needs escalating. So hopefully then we'll stop having to keep using the statutory process if we can deal with it earlier. We're continuing to invest in pre-statutory processes, and we need to continue to develop the resources in our mainstream schools. And that is important. We're all looking for inclusive education, but you cannot have inclusive education if you have not got the right support in place. So we're working, again, myself and Councillor Lakin and Alex Hunt, we're working all together with Bernie and the officers who, as I say again, are doing an amazing job with the limits and the resources they've got. And we're working to put support in place in mainstream schools so SEND children can go to a mainstream school and know they're being supportive. It's important we keep the pressure on the central government to bring forward their plans for SEND, as well as continuing to highlight the underfunding for all Staffordshire schools. Unfortunately, and I've said this before, I've run out of time.
Yeah. Have you got much longer to go, Janet? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Councillor Wallins to Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, the reason why I've been so quiet is I just don't want the senior councillors to seize up after this long meeting while me rambling on. Can you confirm whether the council has set clear timelines and measurable targets for improving SEND assessments and ECHPs during this term of administration? Thank you.
Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. And just while I'm here, just wanted to also say a bit about really the reason why I was given this role and why my role exists is to help in this actual almost going into the system and being a critical friend to the system we currently have now, working with Janet, working with Nicholas Lake, and to be able to better tackle these timelines during the assessment procedure. I do want to make a slight statement on my role also, and do forgive me before I answer the question directly, is I just want to say, we talked about churlishness and certain behaviours before. In the first meeting, when we first came council, we're not politicians by trade. We do this because we love our country, we love Staffordshire. And unfortunately, there's comments made about SEND, which I think, and the member can have, we can discuss this later, where I think they're quite childish and actually almost put, use SEND children as political football. And I think that's inappropriate. So the statements I make now as a person who's gone through the system as...
Very happy to be generous on this because we do all want to hear what you've got to say. But I think that's a little bit below the belt, what you've just said. We were all concerned about the fact that we hadn't received the information about what your role would entail that I think you're about to give us. So don't mind you doing that, but let's just stick to that, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor White. Councillor Hunt.
Apologies. So on that, it was just on first council, not the previous one, but it's completely fine. Just to make really the statement clear is that, Chair, I just want it to be really clear that I'm going to make this statement. It's from what I've been able to find and it's just been the facts of the matter, what I've been able to see since I've been in my role, going from the Moorlands down to South Stafford, what I perceive is what the case. Now, if the opposition wants to come over and tell us the reasons of why certain things had happened previously, we can have that discussion. But to me, I want to be very clear that the difficulties that parents and children are facing in Staffordshire, unfortunately, aren't an accident, and they are the direct result of decisions taken by the previous two administrations between 2018 and 2022. They chose to prioritise children's social care, unfortunately, and the expense of put that at the expense of the education and SEND system, stripping away oversight and leaving families to pay the price. Despite much of the staff at the period of time when this transition occurred were warning against this restructuring that occurred within this period of time, it was forced through, and the consequences were predictable: a backlog of EHCPs and officers being very overwhelmed, the parents really struggling. I get messages every single day from worried parents and how they are struggling. And I just want to say, while I've got the opportunity, thank you to all of the officers for all the work you've done and all the pressures that all of the officers that are going through across Staffordshire in this hard time when we do have a backlog. And you're not forgotten, and we are here for you and will be supporting in this administration. Anyway, this administration has acted since day one to fix the mess we see, and we've put proper oversight back in place to stabilise the service and to start reducing the backlog. And I believe some of this is looking at how possibly trusts and the trust system, how that integrates with the HCP and certain policies internally. Unlike the previous administration, we've set out clear targets and timelines so that families can see measurable improvements within this term and they are ready to begin. So, Chair, we are tackling the problem. We are tackling it head on, but I would like the members should never forget that the problem exists in the first place because, unfortunately, I believe the last administration made some crucial mistakes in the structure of that, but we are going to make further changes. And just the last thing, talking about the reforms that be made by central government, I would please like to reach out and hope that we hear more information on these reforms so we can better target and make better changes to the HCP system. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hunt. Councillor Bagley to Councillor Large.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Large, would you consider that the previous administration did not give the necessary focus to the workforce, contracts or headcount efficiency, resulting in increased costs? Thank you.
Councillor Large.
Thank you, Councillor Bagley. Yeah, it's quite funny sitting here today, isn't it? And we've spent, I don't know, an hour talking about the political assistant, 27,000 or 30,000, but anyway. And then we talked about earlier, I think we had in our last council meeting, we talked about 14,000 for our SEND expert. And when we talk about money that we're spending, and I mentioned it earlier about the one big thing, you've got business. We have 800 million and 4,820 staff. No control, no let-up on recruitment from 2022. No appraisals. Now, I know it sounds a small word, no appraisals, but when you go out into a public meeting and you say to anybody out there about appraisals, they gasp because people know that performance and efficiency are all to do with money. So, as I mentioned earlier, we placed a headcount freeze with exception to key workers, and we now have a sensible panel that is checking and challenging costs and recruitment. We've also commenced a review on temporary workers, you heard me say earlier. And again, when we talk about the community fund and people saying, can we have a bit more money? Can we have a bit more money for this? Can we have a bit more money? Well, you can, because we had somebody here for 10 years on a temporary contract costing us £1 million. We had somebody here for 5 years for £500,000, okay? So let me give you, because I've got the list here. This is our temporary worker list. So it's not just that I can give you it. We've got 4,820 staff, plus, I'll let you do your own research. This is freely available. And let me just give you this, because this is really important. Cover for permanent leaver, okay? Now, this is the reason for it. Cover for permanent leaver. They were with us 167 weeks, £250,000. So you want some more money for your community fund? Well, there's a little bit there for you. Cover for a new position. 159 weeks they've been with us, 200,000. Now, I'm not sure about this. I did do biology at school, but I'd ask the welcome what the floor thinks of this. We have maternity cover, 104 weeks. Well, I don't know what sort of gestation period that is. But that cost us £164,000. I mentioned earlier that we went into a department and the manager said, I've got 10, 15 people in my team, but half of them are contractors. And you're going, well, why didn't you bring a contractor in and train up your staff for it? Why have you just recruited day workers and then carried on? And they've had them here for 3 years, some of them. We spent over £6.5 million on consulting, and they're here for a year. Instead of, well, where I've worked, you get the consultant in, they train up and skill up your staff so that when they leave, you're not left in the same position that you was before. So our staff in Staffordshire County Council deserve a lot better than that. And one final point on a statistic for you, seeing as we're on the subject of it, and again, I go back to it. We spent all this morning talking about 30 grand, 27,000, 14,000 for our SEND expert. But you've heard the figures there. And they were all, and the list is here. I haven't got the time to finish them all on. There's hundreds of thousands of pounds, over £2 million worth of temporary workers here. Finally, out of 4,820 people, how many do you think are on a performance review? 8. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Broome to Councillor Large.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to ask the Honourable Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, do you consider it was a lack of good leadership why the Conservatives did not take greater care of the limited companies, in particular that they were given, that some of them were on review? Would you agree perhaps if they'd had an advisor?
Councillor Large.
Yes, in our little bit of analysis that we've done so far, there have been a number of limited companies established from 2010 onwards, and very odd, there might be 20, 30 of them. Some of them have run for 3, 4, 5 years, some of them have traded, some of them have been dormant accounts. But the strange thing is, they've contained 20 or 30 directors, and some have been councillors. And they've gone on and off and on and off, and you're thinking, what's this all about? Why is that? And then they've closed. And we've had a couple of examples of that. Another limited company that we work with is Nexus, and that's a business that we run. But again, there's a couple of issues. You only need to go on Companies House to talk about the articles or the fact that they were going to report back to Cabinet. And then there is our friendly one, and that is we've got Entrust, a joint venture that we started a few years ago with Capita. And I've spoken to the chief executive of that organisation. And when we did the JV there, we took immediately straight onto our balance sheet to pick up what we're talking about, financials, £30 million straight into the balance sheet. Over £30 million we took in. And from what I understand, that filled a very nice hole at that particular time. So all we needed to do with Entrust was to build a second income stream. Now, at the moment, there's lots of rumblings and people saying, well, we need to sort out Entrust. So I spoke to the lady, the chief executive, and I said, have we ever brought this up on the board that you're dissatisfied with the service that we're getting? Is it on the board minutes? And the answer is no. And I said, well, could you produce them? And I've been talking with the officer about that and saying, how do we move this forward? Because we have a JV where we own it 49%. Originally, back then, we had 70 million coming in. Now we have 7 million coming in. There were several cabinet members that were directors on the Entrust board. No mention of how we get this strategic business moving. There were also officers on that board as well. So I've made a decision that I'm going to meet with the people concerned, and we have to decide, are we going to put our back into this, or are we going to pull away? But I think that demonstrates how limited companies can work, but you have to put your shoulder to the elbow, your shoulder to the plate. Thank you.
Councillor Hall to Councillor Large.
Well, you're very popular today, Councillor Large, and I'm sure you're actually holding back. But I have a question for you. Can you give us an assurance that a full audit is carried out on all charities? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, we've started to do some research on our charities. Some of them do a tremendous job, and some of them have got regulatory, statutory, like schools, and we provide them with a service. Personally, in my experience of doing this type of work before, I think there is, in some instances where we've thrown the money across the wall to them, and we've not carried out necessarily the greatest level of due diligence, like checking their company accounts. Now, charities are increasing at an alarming pace in the country, particularly for around refugees and community enterprises. And you only need to look on their Companies House, and we've got charities that have been set up that have got just family members. Now, we know the Charity Commission do their own due diligence, but it's very, very loose in many instances. We want to make sure, like we talked about on the roads, how much when we pay Amy £1, how much goes on tarmac? When we give £1 to a charity, how much goes to the victim? How much goes to the end user, the child? And I've worked in corporate for over 30 years, and when I used to have people like Save the Children Fund come in and telling me that they've got a 65% expense ratio with the CEO earning 300,000, I used to say, go away. Because that's not putting value for money. Now, in our early investigation, we found out that there's some fantastic charities that have got a very good expense ratio. But we've had some that have got expense ratios of 70%. We've got some that are spending 75% of the money on staff. And some of the charities have got a spending £250,000 on their head officers. And we should be stopping that and saying, no, you shouldn't be doing that. And it's one of the first things a lot of charities do, pile the head count on, pile the numbers on. We've given money to charities, big charities, £1 million and so, which the people opposite did. And they were predominantly lobbyists. They were providing legal advice to people. And we've also had one company that has a £10 million charitable investment, 7.5 million go on staffing costs. My question is, when I put it to the officers, show me where our £1 million has gone right now, where it is. I want to see the children and the people we've spent the money on. And that is what I mean by due diligence. Not just about getting a report saying we've really done well. So it's about it's really about holding people to task what's happening. Now, we have connections which councillors are involved. And again, community fund, charities. We've got certain charities and limited companies, strangely, where some councillors are involved in that process. And that does beg a question. So my challenge for us all here is that if we're spending 30 to 40 million pound on charities, and the other final point I make, and that is this word grant money. Oh, do we love it? It's like a grant tree. Oh, don't worry, it's grant money. Well, no, it's not. It's taxpayers' money, actually. And when the money comes to us, we have a responsibility to make sure that when we divvy it up to people, that it's checked properly. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Beardmore to Councillor Miners.
Thank you, Chair. I do have a supplementary question for Councillor Miners. Now that the Council is rescinding the climate emergency, what will happen to any further tours of the carbon bubble around Staffordshire?
Very much, this room before in the last month, and there was a number of questions raised about what will happen to our lovely balloon, James and the Giant Peach, or something like that. It all went around Staffordshire. But we would like to not always look into the past and look to the future. So we perhaps might look with the team, the cabinet team that's been involved with this, and recycle it, use it, sell it on, and gather some money from that past experience. Thank you.
Councillor Doherty to Councillor Murray.
We've heard a lot today about savings and expenditure. So with that being said, I'd like to ask Councillor Murray, how many farms have the previous administration sold across Staffordshire, and where have the proceeds been allocated and spent? Thank you.
Thank you. So these are our county farms, is what we're talking of. A great asset. Luckily, Staffordshire still does have some. Many counties in the area have sold theirs already all off. But in the last 15 years, since 2010, the previous administration sold 62 of our county farms, these plots of land. There's only 63 left. So basically half have gone. That raised a sum total of £33,478,104.56. Great. We'll just go in the last 5 years, from 2019 to the beginning of 2025. They sold 29 farms. It's in the last electoral cycle, raising £21,851,469. Well, where did the money go? Did it go back into the farms? Well, not really. Cannot find the direct evidence. It could well have gone for something great. It could well have gone to fund a special needs school. It could well have gone to build a new library. We don't know. To me, it looks like it's just gone to fill a sock. And that's a financial terminology. Many people at home will call it the cookie jar. But it's a magic sock that gets filled that then gets moved around to fill the debt that comes up. I'm passionate about our farms in our rural county, and I know many of the members opposite are as well. I know we know this, and our farms are important. What about ending the climate emergency? And it comes down to farming. It's a really important one. We have some great energy efficiency schemes that are coming through under my portfolio that we share out. The Business Energy Efficiency Scheme. Nobody thought before, because these are some schemes that I've run before, to go out to the county farms. Well, I've already spoken with and met over a dozen. By the end of this year, I'm going to have met with 70% at least, if not 100% before winter is done. I'll have met every single county farm. The 6, 7 I've met so far, they've never met a county council in their life. And that's sad. But I'm going to make sure those, where it fits, will get those energy efficiency advisors to go in. Another project we're looking at, we don't sell our farms to put wind battery farms. Now, we know many private farms in this area have. And I did say private farms. Farming is for food, whatever that may be. We want to have a clean, great air, then we should be promoting farm to fork. We should have a potato and a strawberry coming from within 10 kilometres, not within 5,000. We should be promoting our own food to come on in. It's a huge point. Another great project we want, and I've spoken with the farmers on this to see if it's good for them. Hedgerow building again. It's great for nature. It's great for the farming. These are the ways we protect our valuable land, our rural communities. It promotes business. This is the business case we put forward first and foremost, and you work with the business. This brings up the rural economy. Those rural areas are often forgotten. It protects them, it grows them, it builds our economy, and it builds a brand Staffordshire, because we can now start saying farm to fork. That's how we save our farms. We won't make it the beating heart of this country.
Councillor Baker to Councillor Large.
Thank you, Chair. Can the Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources confirm what impact absenteeism has had on the workforce, and more importantly, what steps have been taken to correct this? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baker. I was privileged to receive the dashboard, People Dashboard. We've only been here 3 or 4 months, but I'm getting it now, and so is our colleagues. We're not quite sure how far down the managerial list it goes, but there is a People Dashboard. When I looked at the People Dashboard, I wasn't very happy with the fact that I don't think some of the KPIs are right. Because again, the two things, I go back to it, sorry to go on about this, but it really is, the devil might be in the detail, but 800 million, 4,820 staff, and you've got to have that level of control, whether you're in cabinet or whether you're in the officer position. So when we talk about measuring long-term sickness, well, we've not particularly done that well over the last couple of years, but since 2022, our level of sickness has been around, it was 13%, but now it's down to 11.6. But over the last 12 months, what does that mean? And again, community fund, how we're spending it on send. We lost 41,213 days, which is roughly, I'm told by People Services, around £6 million in long-term sickness. But let's just add to that, because this is one of the biggest ones that I have the biggest concern about. And again, it's a really important thing. Short-term absenteeism. Long-term sick, people are sick. There's nothing you can do about that except try and encourage them on. But short-term absenteeism is all about monitoring every month how many people work for this company every month. Out of the 20 days, or if they're part-time, how many days they work. So if we take the short-term absenteeism, that goes up to 56,100 lost days. And in some areas, we have as high as 25% of staff have had between 1 and 5 days off for casual absenteeism. That's a quarter of our workforce. But let's look at it the other way. Let's look at it positively. What does that mean? It means 50%. I've never quite got rid of the other percentage bit, so perhaps we should follow our colleague about the percentages. But we've currently got between 50 and 52% of our employees have worked full hours, their full duration for the month. Half of them have worked those full-time hours. So when we talk about creating uproar about 14 and 30, we just, guys, we need to dig deeper, and we need to work with the officers to tweak the system, to tweak this big machine, to make it fitter, smarter, quicker. That's what our goal is. We might not be achieving some of, again, is it the cause or the effect? We want to fix the cause, not the effect. Too many times do we just plaster over it and say, oh, no, just let's fix that one. We don't want to do that. We said, let's lift up the bonnet, get the engine out and rebuild it all over this county. So we're taking immediate steps, and have done with the officers, to try and address that. We're looking at a new dashboard that everybody gets, and we can see it and clearly see every month how many people are putting in the work. Thank you.
Councillor Hales to Councillor Mason. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Mason, can I ask, given previous years of investments has failed to improve our highways network in an enduring way, can the Cabinet member outline what needs to be done to fix this going forward? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I'll start with acknowledging that we do not get the funding levels we deserve or we need. That is true of the administration now, and it was true of the previous administration. However, if we just accept that and we just go forward with that as it is, we're just playing the victim. We need to champion, and we need to do something different for Staffordshire. We need to face this head on, and we need to do whatever we can to make sure that every pound that we do get is spent in the most efficient way and goes into the ground. And that comes from doing things differently. It comes from having an ultimate goal. And it comes from not just running fast to stand still. And if you run fast to stand still, you're really going backwards, because the asset's just getting older and it's declining. So we need to be smarter about how we go about work. One of the things we're looking to do is roll the works into whole road packages, geographic packages, tackle across multiple assets. You save money by going there once. You save money by planning it once. You save money by having traffic management once. And you save a lot of public heartache and business heartache by not going there to their road time and time again. And we need to change. Sorry? We need to change the way we go about it. It's smarter thinking. It's bringing in the utilities. We want less disruption, but we also want better coordination. One of the reasons, I know some over there didn't agree with it, that I've put the 12-week window timeline is, we want to be able to plan out disruption. We also want to be able to be certain that if the utilities are going to come along and dig it up again, we don't go in the 6 weeks before and make it look all nice and shiny. This means we will have to work different. We'll have to move budgets around. We'll have to bring different budget streams together.
We may push some work out because we know there's going to be a utility renewal in that area. That is a big challenge and a big ask. But if we don't take on that challenge and we don't rise to it and take it head on, then all we do is keep running as fast as we can to stand still, and Staffordshire deserves better than that.
Thank you. And finally, moving on to item 14, petitions. Does any member have a petition they wish to present? Councillor Pert.
Thank you, Chairman. I do have a petition that I would like to present, which has got the sum total of 4,653 signatures. It's been viewed 111,000 times online. It relates to Eccleshall. Eccleshall is an attractive market town. It has 1,500 homes. It has grown in the last 14 years by 25%, so we are not against development. But because Stafford Borough Council's local plan has not been reviewed as required in law in the last 7 years, with the bringing in of mandatory housing targets and the doubling of these in rural areas, we risk to see an additional 1,500 homes with no local plan to resist that development. Eccleshall was noted earlier this year as the best village in Staffordshire, and yet this plan risks overburdening existing facilities of car parking, doctors, highways, schools, flooding and the like. I know that the Borough Council is the planning authority, so I'm not in the wrong building before someone says it, please. So I understand the Borough Council is the planning authority, but this council is a key statutory consultee on highways, schools, parking and flooding. We need to evolve to take into account the cumulative impact of development. It should not be for developers to decide where houses should and can be built. Creating communities instead is a strategic role, a borough and county council role. This petition asks for the County Council to recognise the 4,653 people who are very concerned locally by this risk, and also take into account those people viewing the petition. And we would like to see that the county be part of a solution.
It's all right, carry on, Jeremy. You haven't got long to go. Yep.
To make sure additional housing does not overrun our communities and services. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. Do you want to hand it? Do you want to hand it over? And thank you, Councillor Pert, for the card and the bag of unwashed. Thank you. Now I'm going to find myself a dark room and lie down. So the meeting is closed. Thank you.